Can you leave? My sister's coming home to give birth.
My husband Travis wanted to kick me out of our home because his sister, Angelina, was coming back to her family home to give birth at a nearby hospital. That's absurd, I argued, not buying into his unreasonable request, but he wouldn't listen and eventually threatened me with divorce. Feeling utterly disheartened by his attitude of cutting me off entirely, I agreed to the divorce and left the house. But even after our separation, Travis kept sabotaging my life. Little did he know. Karma was about to catch up with him. Hi, I'm Sherry, 34 years old. I was working as a nurse at a hospital, completely absorbed in my daily routine. I met Travis, who works in pharmaceutical sales. When he came by my workplace, our relationship blossomed from there. And a year later, we tied the knot. But just as we got married, his parents, who were running a factory from their home, decided to shut it down. His parents were elderly, and for the past few years, it had just been his mom, Melissa, and him trying to keep the business afloat. But due to the economic downturn, they decided to close shop. Travis, however, felt a sense of duty and decided to take over. I tried to dissuade him, saying a job in pharma sales was more stable than running a failing factory. But Travis is stubborn. Once he makes up his mind, there's no changing it. So we ended up moving in with his parents almost immediately after getting married. At that point, Travis felt motivated to turn things around, and so he decided to renovate the old family home and factory. The construction started in no time.
Wow, it's really coming along. I'm so glad we decided to add this terrace. We can have barbecues in the summer.
I can't wait. Initially, I was skeptical, but his enthusiasm was infectious. Once the New Year celebrations were over, our new home was ready, and our life with his parents began. Here's to a good life together from today. Thank you. I'm really happy we could make this work. I know Travis can be a handful. I was initially worried about how his parents would take to me, but they warmly welcomed me. They seemed happy to have a daughter-in-law who was willing to support their son as he struggled to keep the family business going. That night, while arranging pictures of our travels in our new bedroom, Travis walked in.
Well, Sherry, this space looks great, just like you said.
I know, right? I'm glad we finally have a place to put up our photos.
Thank you for sticking by me through all this.
You're making me blush, thanking me like that.
Don't worry, I'll make the factory successful and give you an easy life.
Don't push yourself too hard, but I'm excited. I felt genuinely grateful for respecting my husband's ambition to build a brighter future. However, 2 months later, Melissa received a message from Angelina. It read, I want to go back home and give birth at a family hospital near our home. I'll be back the week after next. Upon hearing this, Travis was overjoyed, raising both arms.
We have to vacate our bedroom for her. We don't have any spare rooms.
What? I don't like that idea.
Why not? It's for my pregnant sister. I can sleep in the study, so it's no problem.
What about me?
Well, you can sleep in the kitchen or the hallway, I guess.
That's ridiculous. Let's clear out the corner room on the second floor for Angelina.
That room is cramped and full of clutter. How about you sleep there instead? I've made up my mind, right, Mom?
If Travis says so, let's do it that way. I object. I'm fine with Angelina coming, but I don't want to give up our bedroom. I was upset that my husband would dismiss my feelings to accommodate Angelina and that Melissa readily agreed with him.
Stop being selfish. This is my house.
Please, bear with it for a little while. I don't accept this. It's my house, too. As I continued to object, Travis's face tightened, clearly getting irritated. Then he spoke words of surprise.
What? You're my wife. You should understand.
It's odd for you to claim this as your home when you're just my son's wife. What?
A wife isn't family, you know. If you hate it so much, just leave.
Why? Angelina left home when she got married, too.
She's my sister. We share blood. Plus, her unborn child could be the heir to this house. Right now, I want to prioritize a potential heir. If you hate it that much, go back to your family home.
I was taken aback, unable to come up with a quick retort. I felt disgusted that Travis was already considering the heir issue upon hearing Angelina's baby was a boy. And there was another concern on my mind. What about our child? You said you couldn't think about having kids until the business was stable. So any child will do?
Enough. I'm fed up. If you can't obey me, let's get a divorce.
Fine by me. Bring it on. Until now, I've always respected my husband's wishes, but this time I can't let it go. In a fit of anger, I agreed to the divorce. No regrets. I'm convinced I can't go on with this man. My husband, unable to contain his anger, stormed off somewhere. I seized the opportunity to pack my bags and leave. As I was about to go, my husband reappeared with the divorce papers in hand.
Here's what you wanted. Now sign it, quick.
That was fast. You're a lifesaver. As I grabbed the divorce papers and started writing without hesitation, my husband muttered something unpleasant in my ear.
You're stupid for choosing divorce over this. I thought you were smarter. Don't come crying back to me.
The stupid one might be you.
What did you say? Just go. Vanish.
Spewing venomous words, my husband retreated into his study. I finished the divorce papers, left the house, and submitted them immediately. I never thought I'd leave my husband like this, but I know I made the right choice. I resolved to move on. I went straight to a real estate agent and quickly signed a lease for a condo near work. I had a few days before moving in, so I stayed with a coworker. When I explained the situation, she offered her support, promising to be there if I needed her. A week later, I completed the move to my new condo and began my new life. But peace didn't come easy. About a month into living alone, I noticed I was being followed by a man named Travis. I ignored his unsettling presence until a coworker came up to me with alarming news. Your ex-husband was here earlier, spreading rumors that you cheated on him, and that's why he was dumped. What? Don't worry, no one's taking him seriously. We know you didn't do anything like that. I'm Team Sherry all the way. Thank you. He probably couldn't forgive me for finally standing up to him. He must be trying to make me regret my decision by harassing me. But I thought if I just endure this a little longer, he'll quit. I apologized to my colleagues for the disturbance and went about my days, pretending not to be rattled. A month later, just as I'd hoped, Travis stopped stalking me, and I thought I was finally in the clear. But I would soon find out how naive I had been. One day, after coming home from work, I checked my mailbox, only to find rotten fruit inside. I had a gut feeling that Travis, who had followed me and discovered where I lived, was behind this. Day after day, I'd find dead insects or filthy objects in the mailbox. This was harassment, beyond tolerable levels. Just when I was considering reporting it to the police, it suddenly stopped. But the moment I let my guard down, something new appeared in my mailbox. This cycle continued. 3 months after I had moved out, Travis finally called me.
Hey, it's me. Can we talk?
Sure. I agreed to meet up at a cafe near my home. I wanted to confront him face to face. It had been a while since we saw each other, and Travis was noticeably uncomfortable.
Have you been?
How? I'm not doing great, thanks to you. You realize what you've been doing is criminal, right?
Yeah, I get it. I'm sorry. So come back, will you?
What are you talking about?
I regretted kicking you out on impulse. Can we start over?
There was no way I would agree to this. He'd been harassing me all this time, and now he was trying to lure me back? But deep down, I knew this was coming. You're calling because you're in a financial crunch, aren't you? It's pretty obvious.
That's not it. I didn't want to divorce you. I realized I love you.
Really?
There's no one as kind as you.
Suddenly, Travis grabbed my hand and pressed it to his cheek. I felt my skin crawl. and quickly pulled my hand away, then got to the point. Pretty convenient for you, huh? You're behind on the house payments, aren't you?
It's not like that. I'm saying we should live together because I need you.
Throughout our marriage, I supported you in every way, yet you did everything you could to sabotage my new life. Why should I forgive you so easily?
I need you to pay the mortgage to afford living. Please come back.
Travis pleaded, his hands clasped in desperation. But I had no intention of forgiving him for the harassment I had endured. Actually, the house we rebuilt was in Travis's name, but I was the one covering the mortgage payments. And to make matters worse, the family business wasn't stable because we had to close the factory temporarily for renovations. So basically, I was the financial pillar for Travis's family. Kicking me out, he should have known money would get tight. Now you're going to realize how much you've messed up. The only thing waiting for you is a world of pain. Then he showed his true colors.
I'm apologizing here. What's your problem? Fine. I don't care about you anymore. You better remember this. I'll make sure you won't be able to work.
I decided then and there, it's time for some serious payback. Fast forward a week later, I visited a lawyer to discuss alimony and the ongoing harassment I had been getting from Travis. Thankfully, I had video evidence of Travis caught in the act from our condo's security camera. I also got advice from the lawyer that I could claim emotional damages, so I had them send Travis the full legal documentation. Travis, now panicking, reached out to me, and we agreed to meet at the law office. I'll be filing for alimony and damages.
You've got to reconsider this.
Sorry, but I've already submitted all the evidence of your harassment to my lawyer.
Come on, we were married, right? Can't we just sort this out?
If you refuse, we'll go to court. I won't budge. My words shattered his arrogance, replacing it with a look of utter fear.
I was wrong. I won't do it again. Please drop the alimony and damages. I beg you.
Nope. See you in court. Or should I take this evidence to the police?
What?
Thought you could get away with stalking and dumping trash? You should be thankful I'm keeping this civil.
Fine. Let's talk.
Realizing I meant business, Travis broke down and finally agreed to his settlement. In the end, he had to pay $10,000 in alimony and $30,000 in damages. He looked like a ghost. The reason I didn't go to the police was simple. His misery was just beginning. His family defaulted on the mortgage payments, ignored the warnings, and their new home was eventually auctioned off. They both lost their home and their business in one go. Who'd have thought? Travis and his parents had a massive fight. If only they had listened to me and shut down the factory, or even stood by me over the whole Angelina issue, none of this would have happened. Now Travis's family is scattered. His parents rented a tiny rundown house in the countryside with their meager savings and live in poverty. Travis tried to make a fresh start by finding a live-in job, but Angelina stopped him. I have nowhere else to go, so take me with you. Turns out Angelina was divorced too, because she got swindled in a shady business deal and racked up debt. Learning about the truth, Travis had a big fight with Angelina. He later texted me saying, "So help me out here." But of course, I ignored him. It seems that despite their fights, Travis couldn't abandon his sister, who had just had a newborn, and he ended up paying off Angelina's debt himself. Friends who've seen Travis told me he's now working all hours, looking like a shadow of his former self. I felt no sympathy for him. As for me, I've remarried a man from my workplace and finally found a peaceful life. He truly cherishes me, and because he's a well-planned individual, I feel secure in our life together.
Late-night emergency calls from the ambulance echoed through the emergency room, reporting a car collision with both parties severely injured. I whipped my tired body into action and rushed to save lives. The injured person brought in, well, wasn't my husband? How unusual to see him here, of all places. Despite being transported by ambulance, there he was with his lower body exposed. I'm Ethel, a doctor who will turn 35 this year. I've been designated for temporary emergency duty at a university hospital since obtaining my medical license, and I lead a hard life where I can't even let go of my smartphone on days off. During times when sudden surgeries pile up and I have no time to rest, I feel like giving up. My specialty is otolaryngology, and my workplace is a bit too intense. But when I receive a message saying that a patient had left with a smile, I feel motivated to keep going a little longer. I have only one hobby, which is going for drives on my days off. I have no interest in clothes or brands, and I don't have time for vacations. The only thing I spend money on is my car. When the mirror I polished reflects the blue sky, it uplifts my spirit, as if it clears my mind. However, there is a man who casually uses my precious car without permission. He tends to snag a lot, and one day, while driving as usual on my day off, I discovered cookie crumbs stuck in the crevices of the seat. Even though I tried to remove them in a hurry, they kept getting sucked into the gaps, and I felt like tearing my hair out in frustration. As always, unforgivable. Hey Andrew, did you use my car again without permission? When my husband Andrew returned home in the evening, he scratched his head and said,
Sorry. My friends envy me when I drive that car.
This empty apology again. How many times have I heard this since we got married? You have a car, don't you?
No, it's not cool for a man to drive a small car like that.
Then save up and buy one yourself. I didn't buy it for you to show off to others.
Well, I don't earn as much as you do.
Well, you should get a raise when you get promoted.
Okay. But first, I'm hungry. So can you prepare dinner?
I'm exasperated by my husband's complete lack of remorse. However, I'm always too tired from work to pursue it further. And so, this fruitless exchange continues unsolved into next week. This silly drama has a 1% viewer rating. My husband, 3 years younger than me, isn't someone I'm feeding. Even though my salary is higher, he could become well off if he got promoted. But my husband lacks ambition and enthusiasm for work. Perhaps he's relying on my income after all. Still, our wallets are separate. We leave savings and such to each other's discretion. So after paying our monthly living expenses, we spend everything as we please. I've asked if he's saving a minimum amount out of concern for scattered expenses. But he's not willing to listen, saying,
I have a low income unlike you.
He was certainly calm, but he did not have the least bit of pride. Even though it's only our 3rd year of marriage, I'm starting to slightly regret it. My personal life is disappointing, but I have some solace, which is the guidance of the interns. They are still sparkling with enthusiasm, wanting to save lives. Their hard work and positive attitude towards their studies and work serve as a stimulus for me, who is starting to feel a bit jaded at work. Especially my favorite, Dr. Richards, a second-year resident at 26. He eagerly engages in even the harshest guidance, and his positive attitude makes my spine straighten involuntarily. Moreover, he's handsome, cheerful, and easygoing, a man with no shortcomings. He's currently training under me in otolaryngology, but for some reason, he's very attached to me. Watching Dr. Richards follow me around like an obedient large dog, I can't help but fuss over him. Surely, he will become an excellent pediatrician who's loved by patients. Not only me, but other colleagues also admire him so much that it's irritating. And he's full of motivation. I wish my husband had this level of enthusiasm for his work. I unconsciously compare my husband to Dr. Richards, which is disrespectful to both, so I shake my head. Because someday, his switch will surely flip. I don't know when that someday will be, but I have to believe and wait. But alas, my husband easily betrays me. On a holiday, I boarded my beloved car as usual to go shopping. Once again, I found something that had fallen in the gap of the passenger seat. It's not candy. It's an earring. Seeing the large ring dangling from it made my blood run cold. It's hard to believe he didn't notice dropping such a large earring. My husband is cheating, and this earring is a message from his mistress directed at me. How low can they get? My blood felt like it suddenly rushed back to my head, and the veins in my face felt like they were bulging. As if to vent my anger, I thrust the earring at my husband as soon as he returned home. My husband's eyes darted around when he saw the earring. "You're cheating on me while I'm at work? Am I wrong? And you're even driving around with your mistress in your wife's car? You're the worst."
It's not like that. We don't have that kind of relationship.
Then what kind of relationship do you have? Despite glaring at him, my husband, trembling, desperately came up with excuses.
She has a boyfriend, and he's a terrible cheater. So I felt sorry for her and took her for a drive to cheer her up. See? I'm kind and considerate.
Then why not just let her ride in your car?
Because it's uncool for a man. I told you, right?
If it's just to help her, then what does a car model have to do with it? Hitting the nail on the head, I couldn't contain my anger towards my tired husband, who struggled to find words. I added insult to injury. Even if what you are saying is true, you still had ulterior motives and wanted to show off. How pathetic! Wanting to show off in my car? If you want to show off, do it at work, okay? My husband's face turned red, and he trembled as he stared at me with a terrifying expression. Oh no, I went too far, but it's too late now.
Shut up, shut up, shut up!
My husband raised his voice.
That's how it is. You always look down on me. I'm so fed up. Maybe you suspect me as a man who would cheat because you look down on me. You're an ugly woman.
Out of all people, you're accusing me. Did I do something wrong?
Fine. If you think it's cheating, gather evidence and sue me then. Then I will sue you for defamation too.
After glaring at me with a frightening face, my husband, making rough footsteps, barricaded himself in the bedroom. Clearly, it's my husband's fault. However, my words and actions have gone too far. I spent a sleepless night filled with regret and self-blame. From there, I didn't know how to deal with my husband. Since that day, my defiant husband has been openly contacting women and talking on the phone for hours. He may be doing more than that. From the perspective of others, it's clearly suspicious. But I can't gather evidence or confront him because I'm looking down on him, suspecting him of cheating. Those words have made me unable to move. It seems my husband knows this, and he talks about how pitiful the woman is and how much she relies on him, making me not want to go home anymore. One day, I accidentally mentioned my family situation to a close colleague. My colleague sympathized with my story and suggested that I divorce such a husband. Encouraged by my colleague's words, but still unable to make up my mind, I became even more immersed in my work. Yet, there was someone who always left cute sweets on my shabby desk. It was Dr. Richards, who was in my training. He brings them, thinking I would probably like them. They are truly my favorite. He doesn't ask unnecessary questions or offer words of encouragement. His thoughtfulness and distance are very comforting. Even during work, he has become capable of acting without my instruction, making him more reliable. One day, by chance, Dr. Richards and I were both on duty at night in the emergency room. We received news that a man and a woman involved in a car accident were being transported. I jolted my sleepy head with an energy drink and headed to the transport area. When I saw the face of the man being transported, I froze. It was my husband. He was supposed to have gone out for a barbecue with friends since morning. Unfortunately, my husband was conscious. Well, as a doctor, I shouldn't be saying unfortunately, but my husband also seems to recognize me, his eyes widening as he looked at me. Well, it's not uncommon for family members to be brought in for emergency transport. What's uncommon is that my husband got into an accident with a woman late at night and was brought in together with her. Moreover, it was reported that their lower bodies were exposed. Well, driving with a lower body exposed is quite an unusual style, isn't it? The woman is clinging to him, crying and saying, "It hurts! It hurts!" She clearly seems to have an intimate relationship with my husband. With me speechless and incredulous, Dr. Richard looked at me with concern and asked,
What's wrong?
"This is my husband."
Huh?
Dr. Richard's eyes widened in surprise. Even the nurses, with looks of disdain, showered my husband with cold glances, which left his face pale in more ways than one. The woman, finally grasping the situation, shut her mouth. There are many things I want to ask, but this is the front line of emergency care. There's no time to waste with such a man and woman. Well, show me the x-rays. Ah, broken ribs and clavicle for the man. The woman has a complicated fracture in her leg. I wonder if they will heal nicely. There don't seem to be any life-threatening conditions, but they are quite seriously injured. My diagnosis made my husband and the woman's face even paler.
Yes, help us. You can do it.
But I'm an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and I'm not broad-minded enough to laugh off your affair.
Just please, help us.
If a man and a woman exposing their lower bodies in public isn't cheating, then what is? My husband's mouth flapped open. As a doctor, I couldn't abandon my husband and the other woman, even with my personal conflicts. Perhaps Dr. Richard noticed my inner turmoil as he suddenly raised his hand energetically from behind me.
Dr. Simmons, let me handle this.
Dr. Richards.
I've always wanted to try cutting someone once. Huh?
My husband and the woman were taken aback by Dr. Richards' unexpected confession. I was momentarily bewildered too, but I quickly realized it was a chance for revenge. I responded with a bright smile. Well, it might be just right for the newbie's first time. If it fails, I will never sue you, and I have plenty of insurance, so you don't have to worry.
Okay, this is my first time, but I will do my best. If by any chance I fail, it will be for the advancement of medicine.
Whoa, with the doctor's enthusiastic response. Any child would be thrilled to receive such encouragement. But my husband wasn't a child.
Hey! That's a lie, right? There's no way you would entrust your beloved husband's surgery to a newbie. It's alright. I played trauma center before. It's not okay at all. Don't worry. It's not scary. It's just a little prick. Spider-Man is cheering for us too. Stop it!
Dr. Richards, acting like a child, was perfectly suited for the pediatric ward. My husband and the woman tried desperately to escape, but nurses, sensing the situation, efficiently restrained them. And so, with cries of despair, my husband and the woman were escorted to the orthopedic ward. Of course, even though Dr. Richards was a resident doctor, and I was an otolaryngologist, there's no way we could perform surgery on the fractured patients. But until they realized the true reason, they would be haunted by nightmares of being torn apart by a rookie.
That's what they get,
Dr. Richards said with a laugh, and I couldn't help but join in with a loud laugh for the first time in a while. Afterward, naturally, my husband and I got divorced. There was an abundance of evidence of his infidelity, and many witnesses. The settlement was overwhelmingly in my favor. As expected, my beloved car was the one involved in the accident. My car was totaled, as were the other parties. Since my husband rear-ended a stopped car at a red light, he was 100% at fault. It was fortunate in many ways that the other party wasn't seriously injured. If they had been injured, my husband would have ended up in prison in his sorry state. I didn't pay insurance to cover the man who cheated on me, so I didn't allow him to use it, and instead, I arranged it to pay for 2 new vehicles, my Porsche and the other party's Lexus. The total amount exceeded $200,000. Of course, the compensation for infidelity was claimed separately. The faces of my husband and his mistress turned pale as they desperately tried to negotiate a lower amount. But there was no way I would forgive them. And there was an added bonus. The other woman was a type of prey on married men under the guise of counseling. It turns out, this incident was a catalyst for her infidelity being exposed in various places, and she has been hit with numerous compensation claims. Realizing the dangerous nature of his mistress and carrying a large debt, my husband finally seems to wake up.
You're the only one I truly love.
He clung to me, crying, and pleaded for my love with words of love I had never heard before. Yes, I didn't believe your words. I was also at fault. In a flash, a gleam of realization crossed my husband's eye. Do you think you will be forgiven? You're truly a foolish man. You're right. I did look down on you.
Huh?
You couldn't even handle your job or household chores. Yet, you're out here using your wife's money to hook up with other women, you scumbag. Well, then maybe you should marry a woman who will support you, and you will end up cheating on her with her money, becoming a scumbag in debt again, but with a woman who will love you for the scumbag you are. My despairing husband groaned, realizing that a man who has been carried through life by my money Can't possibly stand on his own 2 feet. 7 years later. Your ears look much better now. You've done well. Thank you, doctor. The boy who was crying at the pediatric clinic 2 weeks ago is now getting out of the examination room cheerfully. His mother, too, lives with a smile. After my divorce, I worked at the university hospital for a while before taking over my mentor's clinic, specializing in otolaryngology. Despite the busy life of a private practitioner, I find my days fulfilling. And by my side is
Dr. Ethel. It's about Mr. Davis, but it seems his ears are hurting.
Understood. May I have his medical chart? Dr. Richards, with a refreshing smile, hands over the medical chart for me. He, along with the other doctors, are my partners. After some time following my divorce, Dr. Richards, who had completed his residency, confessed his feelings to me. I hesitated, questioning if it was appropriate for him to be interested in someone older and of a higher rank. But Dr. Richards' feelings remained unchanged. He could have chosen a younger and cuter woman, but seeing how eagerly he selects suite that he knows will bring me joy, he must be satisfied with our relationship. Before I started my own clinic, we got married, establishing a pediatric department alongside the otolaryngology practice. We retired from the university hospital together, embarking on a new path as a couple. We are loved and respected by children and parents alike, even receiving messages from patients in other towns. Witnessing this, I feel motivated to do my best. Meeting someone I can respect as both a person and a colleague has allowed me to grow alongside them. The importance of choosing a trustworthy partner resonates deeply with me, given my past marriage failures.
Look at this donut. Isn't it cute? There's a panda peeking out from the hole.
My husband, having finished his training in LA, eagerly opens souvenir in front of me without even taking off his suit or coat. Perhaps these cute snacks aren't for me, but for his own enjoyment. Well, even so, my days are filled with happiness and contentment.